Welcome to the District Update for Friday, February the 12th, 2021. I'm Anita Foster coming to you today from the brand new Athletics Center. We've got a few topics we're going to talk about today, including COVID-19, where we are now, and what comes next. There's a new TEA waiver that's been approved for asynchronous days, so we'll talk about that. We're going to answer a few questions from the mailbag and then do a few deserving kudos to some of our staff members who have gone above and beyond. Joining us today, as always, is Dr. Marcelo Cavazos, man with all the answers. But tell us first about this wonderful new facility.
Well, thank you, Anita. And this is an outstanding facility. Our athletics complex will host volleyball, basketball, wrestling, and other sports activities here. Adjacent to this is our natatorium. We know that this is something that we're very proud of. It allows our students to demonstrate their skill, their engagement, as we know many students across the district participate in these activities, and they deserve such a wonderful facility.
I know right now, sporting events and things like that look a little different than they will at some point, and that's when we get out of COVID. So let's start there today. If you would, give us an update on where we are with COVID-19 in our community and what you see coming next.
Very good. Yeah, so there actually, Anita, is some good news around COVID right now. The numbers have begun to drop. Now it's all relative. Positivity rate, for example, is at 16%, but it was at 30. 16% is still very high, but those numbers are trending down. Hospitalizations, COVID-like illness, those numbers continue to trend down. And that's what we want to see. So there is some good news in that. We know vaccination rollout is beginning to happen more swiftly in Arlington as well, and those mass vaccination sites. And so all those pieces are part of the puzzle to really see better days ahead and to get on the other side of this pandemic.
Now, I've heard a lot of people talk about the vaccinations and questioning, is it really going to help us and things like that? Should I go ahead and sign up, or do I wait for all the people with underlying health conditions to go first? We were on a call, I think even on Monday of this week, where Tarrant County Public Health gave some guidance on that.
That's correct, Anita. And they would like for everyone to sign up that's eligible, but also if you're not in those categories, to sign up anyway. Because as they start working down that list and eligibility begins to change, they want to make sure people are on the list. And that's really important. We've sent out the link several times. I think we've even sent it out to our community. So everybody sign up that would like to be vaccinated so that they're ready when your turn comes.
One of the questions that's a hard question to ask and probably harder to answer, as we become vaccinated, all of us in the district that choose for that option, does that change the protocols?
So initially, Anita, the protocols don't change. We've had some discussion with our health authorities about what does post-pandemic and post-mass vaccination protocol look like. And so we're engaged in those conversations. But in the short term, certainly the rest of this school year, those protocols don't change. In fact, our protocols are part of the mitigation. So protocols, washing your hands, wearing a mask, social distance when you can, and also getting vaccinated. Those are all important pieces to the puzzle so that someday those protocols and things can be adjusted to what we know as more normal in terms of schooling. But all those things have to work together for that to happen.
Now, you've talked this week too, in some meetings that I've been in, about the fact that the drop in the COVID numbers, the vaccinations rolling out are all helping to move into something called the recovery phase. Tell us what that is and what you anticipate for the district.
That's correct, Anita. So we are moving, I believe, into a recovery phase of the pandemic in terms of education, and specifically in Arlington. So we know that a recovery phase is really when a lot of the media attention and things like that begin to dissipate, right? When maybe some of the resources are not as readily available from the federal government and things like that. But it's really when the hard work and the challenge really becomes more evident, and that is catching our students up, making sure that we engage our students in school, making sure for the long term that we have opportunities for students to be successful. And so we're looking at some of the strategies that these are some that we're in discussion, but also in the planning phase of that. One is extending our summer school this summer and possibly the following summer, so that students have opportunities to make up work and get ahead. Really, it's also expanding the eligibility. So traditional eligibility will expand so that more students can be served so that they can continue their education. We're looking at Operation Reconnect, which is allowing staff and others to really engage with students who may not have shown up or may now have withdrawn or simply not as engaged as they need to be successful. And so our staff is working on that as well, to reconnect our students. And also we've announced opportunities for students to continue to turn in work an extended period of time so that they can catch up, turn in work, pass, and ultimately gain a credit. So those things are very important. These are just some of the short-term strategies, but Anita, I do think that the longer-term recovery is something that we're going to spend a lot of time visiting with staff and leadership as well, because it's going to take an intentional effort, really from all of us, to make sure that our students are able to be successful.
You mentioned a couple of times Operation Reconnect, for example, with the goal of reaching out to those students who just didn't show up on a campus. How prevalent is that this year?
So Anita, we have about a 4% gap between what we were projecting our student enrollment to be and what actually occurred. And that 4% equates to about 2,800 students. And so some of those students are students that never showed up. So for example, pre-kinder students or kinder students that we were projecting to have that may not have shown up. But others are students that we simply have not been able to connect with. Those students, in addition to all our other students, but those students that have been disconnected or did not enroll with us, those are students we want to try to capture so that ultimately we serve them and serve them well. So while the 2,800 students have implications for funding, that is correct, and that is true, and that's real. The bottom line is we want to serve the students. The only way that they can access education is if they're with us and they connect with us. So we had a strong effort in the fall and the summer, which by the way is really why we're at 4% and not higher like other districts in terms of enrollment to projection. And we were able to re-engage many of our students in the summer and early fall. And we're going to start that process again here in the spring and move right into the fall with that re-engagement process.
So it's good news to hear that we're moving into recovery, even though I think we've all heard you say it's going to be difficult, it's going to be different, but it's a step closer to getting schools back to normal operations. And for those of you that haven't signed up yet for the vaccine, we'll also put it in the show notes so you can find that. And go ahead and sign up, as Tarrant County Public Health said. Those folks that have the underlying conditions or that are on the list for various reasons will be called in order, so you don't have to worry about that. Go ahead and sign up. All right, let's turn our attention now to a new approval from TEA around asynchronous days. Explain what asynchronous is for those of us who don't know what that is, and then why that's important and how it helps in the district.
That's correct, Anita. So TEA surfaced a waiver opportunity for school districts to build in one asynchronous day a month for the spring semester. So asynchronous day quite simply is where all students are virtual. In other words, they remain at home and they become online learners. And that allows our teachers to have more time to plan, to also catch up, to work individually with families, but also to get development and things like that. So we submitted for that waiver and TEA approved it. Thank you to our Board of Trustees for that support of us submitting the waiver. It allows teachers to have more planning time, but also allows our students to have more opportunity to be successful. So those are the asynchronous days for this semester.
Okay, very good. All right, in our last district update, we introduced the new mailbag, and we asked folks to send questions in for you to answer, and we got a few, Dr. Cavazos.
Very good.
Are you ready? I'm going to fire them at you.
I'm ready.
Okay, here's our first question from the mailbag. There's been a rumor that school districts in South Texas are providing vaccines for their employees. Is that something the Arlington ISD would consider doing for its employees?
That's correct, Anita. So we have been in discussion with the Tarrant County Health and our local authorities to, in essence, become vaccination sites in our buildings for our staff, so ease of access. And they have committed that that would be something that they would be interested in doing. Quite frankly, right now, they're focused on these mass vaccination sites that continue to expand, like the Convention Center and other sites. And so once they pass that and there's more availability of the vaccine, they have committed to having some sites at our schools so that our staff can have easier access. So yeah, we're in constant communication about that.
Okay, great. That's actually really good news. Okay, and here's our last question, and it comes from one of our supervisors. I have employees who voted for the proposition that was on the November 3rd ballot. Dr. Cavazos said the proposition was to help with supporting all employees. What does this help mean? Possibly employee service awards and or pay increases.
That's correct, Anita. So you know we had a VATRE on the November 3rd ballot, and it did pass for Arlington. We had a lot of discussion in the fall, and that discussion continues, that if it passed, it would allow our district to remain competitive with compensation and allow our district to continue to provide raises to keep our staff pay at competitive levels for teachers and for all staff. The VATRE passed, and that was our commitment, and we intend to fulfill that commitment. This is the season that we're in budget development, where we begin to review competitiveness across the Metroplex. And so as we roll that into our work with the budget, that's certainly something that we intend to live up to our commitment.
All right, very good. Well, those are the questions we have from today's mailbag. And just a reminder to you guys, if you have a question that you would like Dr. Cavazos to answer in an upcoming update, just send that to pio@aisd.net and drop mailbag in the subject line, ask your question, and we'll get it to you to answer. So thank you all for your questions, and thank you, Dr. Cavazos, for answering them. And let's end today with some fun things, because we've got a few really great employees to recognize today.
Absolutely, Anita. So let's start with Martin High School counselor Susan Kingen. She has been selected for the College Board Counselor Recognition Program for her hard work and dedication in helping students succeed, especially through the pandemic. She's one of 53 counselors in the state of Texas recognized, and the only one from Arlington ISD. Sticking with the high schools, let's move over to Seguin High School. The school earned the AP Computer Science Female Diversity Award, led by computer science teacher Ms. Rees. The school has embraced girl power to support and find opportunities for girls to engage and excel. Seguin is one of 831 schools nationally to be recognized for work toward equal gender representation. And we're also throwing some kudos out to Connie Wallace, our Curriculum and Instruction Director. She was featured in an article in K-12 Dive on ways the pandemic will benefit professional learning. Wallace coined the phrase PL in your pajamas in an effort for her staff to better help teachers in their need for professional learning help during this pandemic. The staff is now more flexible in its hours to help all our teachers. Thanks to everyone for their hard work, and we look forward to sharing more kudos in the next district update. Anita, it's also Black History Month, and many of our students and staff are engaged in activities across the district. Tell us where people can find more information about that.
Well, we're posting on our Facebook page and stories to the blog. The blog's on the front of the website. You can go to our Facebook page. Different schools are all doing different types of projects, and we want to share those.
That's right.
So it's a good spot for our employees to be able to go to and see what's going on across the district.
Absolutely.
Well, Dr. Cavazos, thank you for all of the information today. As always, it's important to know where we're at and where we're headed. So thank you for sharing the important update with us today.
And thank you, Anita, and thank you to all our staff, sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, for your work during this pandemic. And we know the challenging work that's ahead, but we have the right team to do that.
Before we wrap up today, Dr. Cavazos, I want to wish you and your family a very happy Valentine's Day, and everyone in our district.
Absolutely. Happy Valentine's to you, Anita, and happy Valentine's to everyone in our district.
Thank you so much. And if you're looking for something special for Valentine's Day, our culinary students have given us a couple of recipes we're going to drop on our Facebook page. And this just in, one of them is a red velvet swirl brownie. So I think you definitely need to download that recipe and make it for Valentine's Day. Don't forget, Monday is a holiday, so enjoy your 3-day weekend. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you on our next district update.